If you're thinking about buying a home in Northbrook, Illinois, maybe you've been scrolling Zillow late at night, you've seen the prices, you've done some quick math in your head, and now you're sitting there wondering, do I actually make enough money to pull this off? It's a fair question. That is one of the most common questions that our Caroline Gow team gets asked. Not what are the schools like, although that comes right after. The first question almost every time is, what do I need to earn to live here? Makes sense because Northbrook is not a cheap suburb. It has never pretended to be. The homes are beautiful, the location is exceptional, and the lifestyle that comes with living here is sometimes families actively relocate for. But all of that comes with a price tag. And understanding that price tag, the real one, not just the Zillow number, is what this video is about. So if you're a family relocating to the Chicago area, or you're already in the suburbs and thinking about making a move to Northbrook, stay with us for the next few minutes because we're going to walk you through the actual numbers. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just the real picture so you can make a smart decision. Let's get into it. Welcome to Living in North Shore, Chicago. The Caroline Gow team is based right here in Northbrook, Illinois. And we've been serving families across the North Shore for 24 years. And this channel exists for one reason, to give you real, honest, hyper-local information so you can make confident decisions about where you live. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss a video. Now let's talk about what actually costs to buy in Northbrook. Before diving into income numbers, it's worth understanding why Northbrook sits at the price point it does. Because when people hear the numbers for the first time, there's sometimes a moment of shock. And we want to make sure that shock is followed by context, not panic. Northbrook is one of the most established communities on Chicago's North Shore. It's located about 25 miles north of downtown Chicago, right off the Edens Expressway. You got the Metro line, easy access to O'Hare, two distinct downtown areas, incredible park systems, and one of the most recognized public school systems in the state and nation. The combination of location, lifestyle, and community reputation has kept demand for Northbrook real estate strong for decades. As of spring 2026, the median home price in Northbrook is sitting right around $569,000 to $599,000, depending on the data source you're looking at. Homes are moving fast. Some data shows the average property going under contract in 7 days, and inventory is still tight. This is not a market where you browse casually for 6 months, and when the right house pops up, buyers have to be ready to move. That context matters because when we talk about income requirements, we're not talking about the minimum you need to technically qualify on paper. They're talking about what you need to buy comfortably, strategically, and without stretching your finances to a breaking point. Here's what we're going to cover. The purchase price breakdown at different budget levels, how the mortgage math actually works at today's rate, what Northbrook property taxes look like, and this one surprises almost everyone, the total monthly payment picture when you stack everything together, how lenders think about qualifying income, and finally, what the income benchmarks look like depending on how you plan to enter this market. Let's take them one at a time. Start with the purchase price, because not every buyer in Northbrook is shopping at the same level. If you're looking at entry-level single-family homes, think smaller ranch homes, older colonials, homes that might need some updating. You're generally starting around the $450 to $550 range. These exist in Northbrook. They're not the majority of the market, but they're there. The sweet spot for move-in ready single-family homes, 4 bedrooms, updated kitchen, good condition, is generally in the $575 to $800 range. This is where the bulk of the family relocation buyers land. Then you have the larger, newer, or custom homes. Anything over 3,000 square feet that's been significantly updated or is newer construction starts moving toward the $900,000 and up. And there's a healthy luxury market in Northbrook above $1.2 million. For the purposes of this video, we're going to walk through the math at 3 price points: $475,000, $600,000, and $800,000. That covers most of the buyers who come asking this same question. Now let's talk about mortgage math, because the purchase price is only the beginning. As of spring 2026, 30-year fixed mortgage rates are hovering around 6.1%. That's meaningfully better than where the rates were at their peak in late 2023, but it's still more than double the rates buyers locked down during 2020 and 2021. So for anyone who refinanced at 3% and is now thinking about selling and buying something in Northbrook, yes, the math is different. The monthly payment's different. That's real. And we're going to be honest with you about that. Here's how the mortgage numbers break down across those 3 price points. At a $475,000 purchase price, assuming a conventional loan with 20% down, so $95,000 down, you're financing $380,000. At 6.1% over 30 years, the principal and interest payment alone is approximately $2305 per month. At $600,000 with 20% down, that's $120,000 down. $480 principal and interest payment comes roughly $2912 per month. At $800,000 with 20% down, so $160,000 down, financing $640, the principal and interest payment is approximately $3882 per month. Write those numbers down because now we're going to add 2 layers that most buyers don't budget for until they're sitting at the closing table. Layer 1 is property taxes, and this is one conversation that surprises nearly every buyer who comes from out of state. Northbrook property taxes are not low. Illinois has some of the highest property tax rates in the country, and Northbrook is not an exception. The median annual property tax bill in Northbrook is approximately $9,300. The average is closer to $10,000. For higher value homes, say $700,000 to $900,000, annual property tax bills of $12,000 to $16,000 are completely normal. The effective tax rate in Northbrook sits around 1.8 to 2.3% of assessed value, which is significantly higher than the national median of around 1%. Let me put that in perspective. The national median property tax bill is roughly $2,400 per year. The median Northbrook homeowner is paying close to $9,300. That is nearly 4 times the national average. And it's not because Northbrook is taxed unfairly. It's because Illinois funds a significant portion of local services, schools, and infrastructure through property taxes in a way that many other states do not. So if you're moving here from Texas or Florida or North Carolina or Georgia, states where property taxes tend to run lower, this number will feel jarring. We get it. We see it in buyers' faces at almost every consultation. But knowing it up front means you can plan for it. And that's why we always have this conversation early. Other thing to understand about Cook County property taxes is how they're paid. In Cook County, property taxes are paid in arrears, meaning you are paying for the prior year's tax. There are 2 installments. The first comes due in late spring, and a second later in the year. Your lender will typically collect an escrow amount with each mortgage to make sure the tax funds are there when the tax bill comes. So when you're calculating your monthly housing costs, that escrow line is real money leaving your account every month, even if you don't see a separate bill. One more nuance, property tax bills can increase over time. If your home values go up in your neighborhood and you get reassessed, your tax bill may go up with it. Cook County reassesses properties on a 3-year cycle. We're going through that right now. We always encourage buyers to ask about the recent tax history on any home they're seriously considering and to budget with some cushion for potential future increases. Here's what that means monthly. If your annual property tax bill is $10,000, your lender is going to keep approximately $833 per month into your escrow account to cover taxes. If your bill is $12,000, that's $1,000 per month. If it's $14,400, you're looking at $1,200 per month just in property tax. And we cannot stress this enough. This is not an optional cost. Property taxes are collected by Cook County and they are non-negotiable. Buyers who focus only on the mortgage payment and forget about taxes often end up with monthly housing costs that are $800 to $1,200 higher than they anticipated. Plan for this from day 1. Layer 2 is homeowners insurance. This is typically more manageable, but it's still real. For a single-family home in Northbrook in the $500,000 to $800,000 range, you should expect to budget somewhere between $1,800 and $3,600 per year for homeowners insurance. That's roughly $150 to $300 per month. Older homes, higher value homes, homes with certain features may cost more. Now let's build the full monthly picture. At the $475,000 price point with 20% down, you're looking at a mortgage principal and interest of $2,305. Add estimated property taxes of around $700 to $800 per month for a home in this range. Add homeowners insurance of roughly $175 per month. Your total monthly housing cost is in the neighborhood of $3,200 to $3,300. At $600,000 with 20% down, mortgage P&I of $2,912. Property taxes likely in the $750 to $950 per month range for a home at this price. Insurance around $200 per month. Total monthly housing cost approximately $3,850 to $4,050. At $800,000 with 20% down, mortgage P&I of $3,882. Property taxes at this level are around $1,000 to $1,300 per month, and insurance around $250. Total somewhere between $5,100 and $5,450 per month. These are real numbers, not worst case, not best case. These are realistic ballpark figures we see buyers working with every day. Now, what income do you need to support these numbers? Lenders use something called the debt-to-income ratio, or DTI, to evaluate your ability to carry mortgage. Most conventional loans want your total monthly debt obligations. That includes the mortgage payment, taxes, insurance, plus any other debts like car payments, student loans, or minimum credit card payments to stay at or below 43 to 45% of your gross monthly income. Some loan programs allow higher, some lenders are more conservative. A good general rule for a comfortable, not just qualifying ratio is to keep total housing costs at or under 30 to 35% of gross monthly income. We emphasize comfortable because being house poor in a beautiful suburb is not a win. So let's reverse engineer the income requirements. At the $475,000 price point with total monthly housing costs around $3,200 to $3,300, to keep housing at 30% of gross, you'd want gross monthly income of approximately $10,700 to $11,000. That translates to a household gross income of roughly $128,000 to $132,000 per year. At the $600,000 price point with total monthly costs from $3,900 to $4,050, the comfortable 30% income threshold puts you at gross monthly income of approximately $13,000 to $13,500. That's a household gross income of roughly $156,000 to $162,000 per year. At the $800,000 price point, with costs $5,100, $5,400, you'd want gross monthly income of $17,000 to $18,200 per month to stay at that 30% threshold. That puts your household income at a roughly $204 to $218 per year. Figures assume you're putting 20% down and have manageable debt elsewhere. If you have significant student loans, car payments, or other recurring obligations, those numbers shift upward because your debt-to-income ratio is already being pulled in another direction before your housing costs even enter the picture. This is exactly why we tell every buyer the same thing before they start searching. Get pre-approved first, not pre-qualified, but pre-approved. Talk to a lender, share your full financial picture, and tell them to give you a real number before you fall in love with a house that doesn't fit the math. Before moving to down payments, we want to flag something that comes up often in this market. The difference between qualifying income and comfortable income. Lenders can sometimes approve buyers at a debt-to-income ratio of 45% or even a little higher, depending on the loan program. And some buyers hear that number and think, great, I can stretch. But stretching your budget to the maximum approved amount in a market like Northbrook has consequences that go beyond the monthly payment. Northbrook is an active community. There are activities, sports leagues, restaurants, local events, travel sports for kids. The lifestyle that makes Northbrook appealing is also a lifestyle that costs money to participate in. If your mortgage payment consumes 43% of your gross monthly income, you may be in the house you wanted, but you may not be living the life you imagined when you chose Northbrook. We're not saying this to discourage anyone. We're saying because 24 years of working with families in this market has taught us one consistent truth. The buyers who are happiest 5 years later are the ones who bought at a price that gave them breathing room, not the ones who maxed out their approval. So when you're running your own numbers, use 30% of gross monthly income as your guide, not 43, not 45. 30. It gives you the cushion to live fully in this community, handle unexpected home expenses, and not feel like the house is running your life. Now, there's an important conversation to have about the down payment, because not every buyer in Northbrook is coming in with 20%. 20% down avoids PMI, private mortgage insurance, which is an additional monthly cost that can run anywhere from a few $100s up per month, depending on the loan amount. It also reduces your financed amount significantly, which directly affects your monthly payment and the total interest you pay over the life of the loan. but 20% on $600,000 home is $120,000 in cash. That's a lot. And many buyers, especially those relocating from markets with lower home values, don't always have that sitting in a savings account. If you put 10% down on a $600,000 home, you're financing $540 instead of $480. Your principal and interest payment jumps approximately $32.76 per month instead of $29.12. And you're adding PMI on top of that, which on a loan this size might add $200 to $350 per month, at least until you've built up enough equity to have it removed. We've walked many buyers through this decision. Sometimes putting less down makes sense, especially if it allows you to keep a cash reserve for immediate repairs or if you've been bridging between selling a current home and closing on the new one. Sometimes stretching to hit 20% is worth it for the payment reduction and the PMI saving. Every situation is different. What's not different is the need to run these numbers before you start touring homes. Let's also talk about something that many buyers overlook: closing costs, because the down payment isn't the only cash you need at the table. In Illinois, buyers typically pay closing costs that run somewhere between 2 and 3% of the purchase price, sometimes more. On a $600,000 home, that's $12,000 to $18,000 in closing costs on top of your down payment. These include lender fees, title insurance, attorney fees, and yes, in Illinois, having a real estate attorney at closing is standard practice. Recording fees, prepaid homeowners insurance, and initial escrow deposits for taxes. We always make sure buyers are thinking about total cash to close, not just the down payment. Walk in underprepared and closing gets delayed or falls apart. Walk in with the full picture and you close smoothly. There's one more number to talk about, and it's one people always want to ask for, but sometimes feel awkward bringing this up: cash reserves. Most lenders want to see that after closing, you still have 2 to 6 months of housing payments sitting in a liquid account. On a $600,000 purchase, that means they'd like to see somewhere between $7,800 and $23,400 still in your bank account after your down payment and closing costs. This isn't money you spend at closing. It's a cushion that tells the lender, and honestly tells you, that you can handle a rough month without losing the house. For families relocating from another state, this is a number that can sometimes take people by surprise. Between the down payment, closing costs, and reserve requirements, the total liquidity you need going into a Northbrook purchase can be significant. Preparing for that reality early in the process is one of the most important things we help buyers do. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough: the cost of moving itself. If you're relocating from another city or state, you're dealing with movers, temporary housing, possibly travel costs for house hunting trips, and the general chaos of uprooting. None of that shows up on a mortgage calculator, but it's real money leaving your account right around the same time the down payment and the closing costs are clearing. Building a realistic relocation budget alongside your home purchase budget is something we walk every out-of-state buyer through, because being blindsided by those costs at the worst possible moment is a situation no one needs. We've had buyers come into a consultation with a number in their head. We have $150,000 to work with, and walk out with a completely different understanding of how that $150,000 needs to be allocated across down payment, closing costs, reserves, and moving. That clarity is the entire point of having the conversation before you start searching. One more thing on the topic of what buyers commonly get wrong: HOA fees. Not every home in Northbrook has them, but townhomes and condominiums often do. And even some single-family subdivisions have nominal HOA fees for common area maintenance or neighborhood amenities. When you're touring a property and the HOA fee is $300 to $400 per month, that goes directly into your debt-to-income ratio calculation. Lenders count it. Your monthly housing costs go up, and your qualifying income threshold goes up with it. So always ask about HOA fees before you fall in love with a unit. So let's bring this all together. If you're looking at entry-level homes in the $450,000 to $550,000 range in Northbrook, you're generally looking at a household income in the $125,000 to $145,000 range, just to be comfortable, not just technically qualifying. If you're targeting the $575,000 to $750,000 range, which is where a lot of the family relocation buyers land, the comfortable household income is typically $155,000 to $200,000. For homes in the $800,000 to $1 million range, you're generally looking at household income of $200,000 to $260,000 or more, depending on your down payment, your other debt load, and the specific tax picture on the property you're buying. And for the luxury market above 1.2 million, those conversations are very individual. That market has its own dynamics and its own qualifying picture. Let's spend a moment talking about the interest rate environment because it's shaping buyer behavior right now in a very real way. Rates peaked at around 8% in late 2023. They've come down approximately 6.1% as of spring 2026. That's better, but it's still a meaningful number compared to the 3% rates that buyers locked in during 2020 and 2021. Here's the dynamic that's playing out in Northbrook right now. There are homeowners who purchased or refinanced at those historic low rates who would love to move, maybe to a larger home or downsize, but they're looking at giving up a 2.75 or 3.25% rate for something in the low sixes. For a lot of them, that math is painful enough that they're staying put, which means those homes aren't coming on the market, which keeps inventory tight, which keeps upward pressure on the homes that do list. So buyers in this market are not just competing on price, they're competing for a limited pool of inventory. And that's why preparation matters even more than it did in a more balanced market. The good news is that the rate environment has stabilized enough that buyers can plan with some confidence. Rates bouncing around between 5.8 and 6.5% is a range you can underwrite your decision around. The dramatic volatility of 22 and 23, where rates were moving weekly, has calmed. And that stability allows buyers to lock in, get pre-approved, and pursue homes with a clear financial picture. The other thing worth noting is that rates and the market can both change. If rates drop meaningfully over the next year or two, many of those locked in homeowners start reconsidering their decision to stay. More inventory comes on the market, buyer competition may ease. Prices may soften slightly in some segments. None of that's guaranteed, but it's the environment we watch every week so we can give clients honest, current guidance. One thing we want to be really clear about, these are household income numbers. Dual income households are very common in Northbrook. Two people earning 85 to 100 each can absolutely land in that 600 to 700 purchase range. This isn't a market reserved for high-powered executives with single incomes in the 250 range, but it does require solid, stable, documented income and a realistic view of what the total monthly obligation looks like. Let's do a quick recap. The median home price in Northbrook is in this 570 to 600 range as of spring 2026. Mortgage rates are hovering around 6.1% for a 30-year fixed loan. Property taxes in Northbrook average $9,300 to $10,000 per year and go significantly higher for more expensive homes. Budget this at $775 to $1,300 per month, depending on the property. Homeowners insurance adds roughly $150 to $300 per month. Total monthly housing costs, putting it all together, range from about $3,200 per month on the lower end to $5,500 and above on the higher value homes, before factoring in any other debt. The comfortable income benchmark for most Northbrook buyers is a household income between $130,000 and $220,000, depending on price point and down payment. You need cash not just for the down payment, but for closing costs of 2 to 3% and 2 to 6 months of reserves on top of that. And the single most important step you can take before you start looking at homes is getting pre-approved so you know exactly where you stand. When you have the full picture, not just the listing price, but the real monthly number, you can search with clarity instead of anxiety. That's the difference between a stressful process and a great experience. If you're a family thinking about relocating to Northbrook or anywhere on the North Shore, the Caroline Gow team would love to talk through specific situations with you. We can connect you with a trusted lender who knows this market, help you understand exactly what your budget looks like in today's conditions, and show you what's available at your price point. The link to reach us is in the description below. 24 years of experience in this exact market means we've had this conversation hundreds of times. And every single time, the families who go in informed make decisions better and better offers. And they don't get surprised at the closing table. Hit subscribe if this video was useful and share it with someone who's been asking themselves the same question. Whether they're moving to Northbrook from the city, from another state, or from a nearby suburb, the numbers in this video apply. I'm Caroline Gow with Rio. We'll see you on the next one.